Hey, what's happening, YouTube? I'm the drummer. Thanks for checking out another one of my videos. First off, if you guys could like, subscribe, and leave a comment, that would be greatly appreciated. Maybe help me get a little more traction here on YouTube, especially as I'm looking to really up my content. Maybe moving from showing books off to talking more about the market on a monthly basis and what's happening in the industry, especially with old books. So we're going to look at a haul today. I think this is basically everything I've purchased so far in 2021. But before we do that, I just wanted to touch on what is happening in the comic book market. It's insane. Prices are crazy. If there are, this has been discussed a lot. There are people that have, smarter than I that have talked about these things. You can find those videos. But I just wanted to say, I feel like this is like it's a perfect storm. People point to one or two things as to why comics are like they are right now. And I think really it's this perfect storm of stimulus, folks being at home and not spending money, collectibles in general being looked at as possibly a safer money to or a safer place to put money, other than the American dollar. Some folks don't want to believe that there are outside investors coming in and buying up these books. They're wrong. There are straight up posts on many Facebook groups of people saying, "Hi, I'm from Sports Cards. Now I'm in comics. What should I buy?" And then about 50 people telling them what books to pick up. Hello? Like, if you want to be able to buy these books at a decent price, don't go telling these people what they should be looking to spec on and drive the prices up on. But all these things, combining at once is why prices are going the way that they are going. I also think that comics in general were probably undervalued compared to other collectibles. So as prices keep going up, real collectors are still willing to pay those prices because they feel they're worth it, and they are. And I think a lot of these sports cards guys, when they look at, we pay $3,000 for a PSA 10 of a current rookie, and then they look at the comics market and they go, $3,000 can get me the first appearance of Loki in pretty decent shape, or the Green Goblin, or Wolverine, and I know these characters. Like, that seems like a good deal. And they're coming in and they're buying this stuff up, and a lot of them have done their research and they're buying the correct books, and just the prices are going crazy. Anyway, it's good for my total on GPA, where I track what my collection is worth. It's not good when it comes to me being able to actually buy more of these keys. So if you have watched any of my other videos, I went into this year hoping to pick up a few more major Marvel keys. I had a chance in January and totally dropped the ball. Guy on Facebook offered me an X-Men #1 2.5 for $6,500. At the time, that was about $800 more than GPA. I countered with 6. He declined and then said, "You know what? I'm just going to pull the book and hold on to it. It'll be $7K by the end of the month." Well, he was right, and I was dumb. Should have just paid the 65. Not only was it $7K by the end of the month, it's just continued to do this. So that was a big miss. So I kind of reevaluated again. I didn't want to not be buying anything as prices were getting crazy. I wanted to grab some books before they got too out of reach. And I think I did a pretty good job of picking some up for the PC before things got too crazy. So, but with all this going on, I also decided now would be a good time to fill out my FF run, 1 to 100. So there's a lot of those books I've picked up as well. This is the time to maybe be waiting on keys and be picking up other books if that's something that you collect. So that's something I've been doing. Anyway, let's go through these books. First book here is a modern book. If we can consider, I think it's 1988, modern, even though that's pretty old at this point. But Hulk, what's that, 345? Just really cool McFarlane cover. I've always wanted this. Grabbed it on Mercari. Solid. It's about if it was a 9.8, I'd send it for grading, but it's about a 9.4, I'd say. So it's going to stay raw like that. Here's another one, not crazy key or anything, but it is the first Cynthia Von Doom. I'm covering up Doom there. Astonishing Tales 8. So just figured that was another, these are some of the things I'm looking for right now. Like that's a book that would be on my, what I call like my periphery list. It's in my peripheral vision. I'm not actively hunting it, but I'm kind of keeping an eye out. And if I find one at a decent price, I'll grab it. So that was on that list. Okay, now we've got the FF stuff. Let me move my mic here. Maybe I'll try and show them off this way. I'm not going to list all the numbers. We'll just take a look. Go. So these have been purchased from different places. A few on eBay. A few on Mercari, a whack of them from my comic shop. And I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, but I feel like my comic shop is a little harsh on grading compared to most people, which is good for the buyer. Most of these books were listed at about a 4.0, 4.5, and some certainly are in that condition. I would say none of them are lower than the grade that my comic shop assigned. So that's good. But there's definitely a bunch in here that I would consider half a grade or a grade better, in my opinion. And I've found that before with them. I think that they, as I say, they grade fairly harshly, but that's good for the buyer. If you're buying a, not a huge monetary increase, but if you're buying a 4.0, that's actually more like a 5.0. So, bunch of books here, as you can see. I'm actually at 68 of 100 for my FF run. Here's a good one. This one was Facebook. That's the first Agatha Harkness. Got a pretty decent deal on this. It was, the show had started, but before the book totally took off. So it was, I got WandaVision had already started when I picked that up. But I think I got it for about $50, which was a good price, because in that condition it probably shot up to like $150 once there was the reveal. Spoiler. So that's the FF run. Sorry, moving that mic again. That I've picked up. So happy to have those. And yeah, the rest of this year I'm going to keep trying to grab some of those books. My big hole is kind of 11 through 30. Okay, so those are maybe even 40, let's say 11 through 40. So kind of those 30 books are the ones that I'm trying to target more the rest of this year. So one more raw book before we look at the slabs. But this is another one that's been on my like periphery list the last couple of years. Should have picked it up sooner. That's the thing with the periphery list. I've grabbed some books that I have ended up making like good value on as they've exploded, and there's some that I've missed out on. I think the biggest one probably being Silver Surfer 3 with the first Mephisto. Kept looking at that book, when it was like the grade I'm looking for could have got raw for like $100, $150, graded for like 200 to 300. And then and I just kept thinking I'll grab one. Didn't, and then it went crazy. So I didn't want to wait too much longer on this book. This is Marvel Superheroes 20 with this awesome Doom cover. And I grabbed this one, which is going off to CGC, and I hope comes back about a 4.0. It looks better than that, but there's a lot of foxing, and the foxing is pretty intense on the back cover and while you can't see it so much on the front cover, you can see it on the inside front cover. So it looks really nice just like that. If it's a 4.0, that's great. If it's better, that's really great. If it's less than that, not quite as good. But anyways, I grabbed that and then saw a better one. So bought that as well. This one, a CBCS 7.0. So this is going off to CGC to get put in their holder and regraded. We'll see. I actually think this one might come back lower, which I'm still okay with. As long as it's a 6.0 or higher, we're good, and I would wager that it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is a 6.0 or a 6.5. So we'll see what happens whenever I have a bunch of things I'm sending to CGC, and they'll probably get returned in 2 boxes. So we'll have some unboxing videos sometime in the future, as I know things are really delayed right now. So next few books, a couple more FF in the top, or not top 10, but the first 10. So FF9 in a 4.0, and these were the same seller. I grabbed FF10 in a 3.0. So at this point, I'm only missing numbers 2 and 3 in the first 10. Unfortunately, number 2 is another one I looked at a lot of different books last year that I considered pulling the trigger on, and I always thought I could do a little better, either value-wise or grade-wise. And now it's starting to heat up again with Secret Invasion and Skrulls coming back to the MCU. And number 3 has just, it's the first costumes and the first Fantasticar, and it is a cool cover. But that book has like doubled. Not really for spec. I think just people realizing this was probably undervalued for a long time. It's Fantastic Four number 3. So it's another one I wish I would have already grabbed. I'm going to have to end up paying more money for. Here's a cool book. This one was off of Instagram with Elite Comics. It's Spidey number 15, first appearance of Kraven. And besides FF, Spider-Man is what I'm looking to get more into. Again, this is where I've kind of like paused on some of these big keys, because your number 4 and 5 and 6 and 9 and 13, and they're just they're getting a little crazy, and I'm hoping that there's a little bit of a correction at some point, and maybe that's when I'll look to pick those books up. Next few, the last three here, are ones that have done ridiculously well, and I managed to get them right before things went crazy. So pretty pumped about this. In fact, I saw this next book on a site and thought it was undervalued. It was about $200 lower than the last couple sales on eBay. So I grabbed it, and since then it has increased about another $1,300 in price. Ridiculous. ASM 129, First Punisher. Finally got one. It's an 8.0. It is gorgeous. This book has foxing. There's some foxing on the back and a little bit on the front. And that is what is keeping this from a higher grade. It is probably, without the foxing, this book is like a 9.4. I mean, it is really, really nice apart from the foxing. It's got a date stamp there that says November 8th. And I don't mind date stamps, and I don't mind the position of it there. So, really happy to have that. Then we got another one that was a steal. Same thing. It was probably listed at about $150 less than it was all of a sudden starting to go for. And again, while the sales on this are kind of spotty, it's doubled since I bought it. Hulk 180. Of course, the first cameo appearance of Wolverine. Some people call it the first appearance. They're not wrong. An appearance is an appearance. I just, comics have a history of designating a cameo and a full. So, I have no problem with this being the little brother to 181, and calling it, what it is. It's a cameo appearance. Whether you want to call that the first appearance, sure. But either way, it's an important book. And if you're going to get 180, you may as well get 181. So that's another one that I picked up from Elite Comics on Instagram. If you don't follow those guys, you should definitely be checking them out. There's a big read increase along the side here, because this looks pretty decent for a 4.0. It doesn't look like it has been cleaned. Maybe they tried to press it, but it looks like there's a lot of stuff I could clean off. So I'm tempted to crack this, and I'm tempted to crack the 180, as this definitely looks like there are things that can be pressed out as well as cleaned, because there's dirt on the back here that's a stain. But this other stuff is dirt. So, can that be a 7.0? Maybe even a 7.5? For the prices that book is starting to go for, a half grade bump or a full grade bump now makes a considerable difference. So, I'm considering it for those books. We'll see if I end up doing that in the future. Anyway, it's a decently long video. If you've watched the whole thing, I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see everybody soon. Take care.